How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. We have Lochaven with us, and he can say his name and what he does in the band.
Hey, what's going on? My name is Gabriel. I am the lead singer of Lochaven, um, and we're a rock band based out of Clarkston, Michigan.
There we go. Well, obviously, Gabriel and I have had a moment together. We tried doing it over the computer. We couldn't get it to work. And then we tried it on Facebook, couldn't get it to work, and now he's on his phone and he's doing it. So I gotta give him a shout for the dedication. But the first question is, I ask this every band: how did you start out Lochaven? How did you get your members?
We started out Lochaven in its current form began a couple years ago, back in late December of 2017. We all knew each other from playing in bands together before, and then we had sort of come together. I should probably mention Jake Foltz is our guitarist, PJ Torque is our drummer, and we started playing together while ago, back in high school. We're in our early 20s now, and we had been working on some music together. Jake and I we had been working on some music in sort of mid 2017 into the fall, and once we had some music that we were really digging, we reached out to PJ because we needed a drummer to fill everything out, and so there we go. Everything's sort of worked out from there.
There we go. And obviously, you guys knew about each other from other local bands. I assume that the other local bands disbanded and you're like, let's do this? Or was it more so like you guys kind of like jived over the same sort of music and you're like, yeah, I feel like this works, this fits. Like, I know he's going to get your band members are going to get my sound. Or was it more like just like, oh, well, you're a really good drummer, you're a really good bass player, like we should all just be in a band together?
Yeah, we had actually played in bands together before,
Okay.
so we were all familiar with each other. And then for whatever reason, those bands just ended up not really working out. But Jake and I always kept in touch, and we continued to work on music together even after the older bands dissolved. And so once we had music that we felt strongly about and really believed in, and we knew that, or had an idea at least, that PJ would also find compelling, then we're like, okay, even though we haven't really jammed with PJ in a while, it seems like might be a good time to reach out to him. And so that was sort of how that went.
Awesome, awesome. Well, the next question is, what are some favorite venues you guys like to play at or catch a show at in your free time in Michigan?
Um, we recently had our album release show for our debut album, Changes Upon Us, dropped on January 10th. So
There we go. Congrats.
go ahead and thank you. Go ahead and stream it on whatever you want to listen to, or buy it. Even better, if you want to just straight up buy the songs, that works too. Available on iTunes and Google Play and yada yada yada. Just throw that plug in there. But we had our album release show in late December at the Pike Room in Pontiac, which is a venue that we really like. It's part of the Crowfoot complex, and the Crowfoot as a whole is just a really nice, well kept venue that gets a lot of good bands coming through there, and so. Anytime we can do anything with the Crowfoot, we always enjoy playing there. And it's also Pontiac is probably like the closest like actual city to where
Sure.
where we are. You know, we're in like we all live in like the suburbs of Detroit, and so we're out in the suburbs. And Pontiac is like the closest like actual city. So it's cool to it's like close by.
Sure.
It's like a 15-minute drive or something, so it's not a bad drive, and it's also like but you still get that kind of like city vibe. So that's always a good spot.
I've heard good things about it. I haven't personally visited, but I always like asking that question because if I ever go to visit Pontiac, that I will have some venues and some good places to go catch a show at,
Yeah,
whenever I travel there. But the
yeah, for
next
sure.
question to follow up the venues, what was the last show you attended, Gabriel, that you didn't play?
That I didn't play.
That you did not play, that you went
Um,
for leisure's sake.
just for the pleasure of it. What would that have been? It's been we've done a lot of done a lot of shows ourselves recently, but in terms of shows that I went to, just for fun, oh man, I'm really trying to think. It couldn't have been that long ago, but it's like not jumping out at
It's
me,
not
you know.
recent-ish, yeah.
Um, Dang, what was it? Now I'm like
Now
really
you're gonna
trying
be
to think.
blanking, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Let's see. Oh, wait. Is that the one? Um,
Or the one you can think
you
of
know,
most currently. How
yeah.
about that?
Clearly, that's what I gotta go to. The most recent one I can think of, and this probably wasn't it, but the most recent one that comes to mind because it was like such an interesting one was, and I mean that in a good way because it was like a kind of chance happening was that one of my favorite kind of modern bands, Rival Sons,
Oh,
they
nice.
were they were having a show like it was I hesitate to even call it like a full show. It was like they played for probably like only a half hour. It was like this like intimate acoustic set is a free
Oh,
show
nice.
at a place in Ferndale. I'm pretty sure it was in Ferndale, which is a like a kind of a smaller city right outside Detroit.
Hmm.
At this place called the Otis Supply, and it's like this kind of like bar slash kind of like folky music venue
Okay.
spot. And so they were doing this just random acoustic set. They weren't on tour or anything. It wasn't like they had a big show going on like later in the day or the next day at like the Fillmore or something in Detroit. It was like they weren't on tour. It was just like, hey, we're gonna do this random show in Detroit of all places, because it wasn't they were going around doing it in other cities. And they're not even from Detroit; they're from Long Beach. And so they just did this random show, and it was either on my birthday or right by my birthday, and so I was like, I gotta
You
go
gotta go,
check this
yeah.
out. Yeah, and it was awesome. It's like they are a super talented group of musicians, and got this super soulful feel to them, and it was a great time. So
And it must have been cool to see like those songs like played acoustically because I
yeah,
know the band, and obviously like it feels to me like like kind of more of a special moment where you're like you were probably, I would imagine you were probably pretty close,
yeah,
and watching
yeah,
it and being like, wow, this is a song that I'm familiar with, but also just like
yeah,
totally different because it's like acoustic and all that sort of
yeah.
stuff, and it's maybe a little chiller.
Yeah, you get that really intimate vibe. So that was really cool.
Awesome, awesome. Well, the next question, the big one, Gabriel. Who are you influenced by? Obviously, I feel like you can speak for the band as well, but who are you guys influenced by?
I would say there's kind of a lot of influences that come into play with our music. I think anybody that has listened to our debut album in full could probably hear that it's a wide kind of spectrum, wide array that influences us. But I would say bands like Journey, Led Zeppelin, Soundgarden. Those would be kind of some of the older bands, and
Hmm.
even those three in themselves are kind of pretty varied. Uh, and then in terms of more kind of modern bands, I myself have always been a pretty big Blink 182 fan, which is
Oh,
like
okay.
how do you incorporate that into the other bands I just named? It's I like to think that we kind of try to kind of meld different subgenres into something that is sort of unique in itself, accessible but still unique. Like I know one of the songs on our album, "Where Are You," is I like to think sort of a mixture of different subgenres of rock music,
Sure.
where you
Yeah.
have this sort of like kind of like Houses of the Holy era Zeppelin kind of guitar riff, um, but like like the cleaner, like a cleaner kind of Zeppelin riff, and then it sort of changes into this whole other thing halfway through the song when the chorus kicks in to this total like a pop punk almost kind of feel in the chorus,
Yeah.
Um, but there's also like this like subtle organ in the background too, which gives it this like kind of southern rock flavor, and it's just like this whole kind of smorgasbord, and all these sort of different influences coming into play. So it's like nothing's really off the table, I guess, is a good way to put it, especially for that first album. Since then, we have kind of worked on creating a more unified sound, something that's a little more consistent throughout. But I think in the first album especially it was very much like nothing was off the table, and it's clear in hearing it.
Yeah, I've definitely felt like, because obviously, shout outs to James. He sent me over your guys's, like, when I first got the email, and I was like, he's like, this may not be in your alley, but he's like, maybe you might enjoy it because it's more
Hmm.
rock. And I'm like, listen, I grew up on classic rock. I'm all about that sort of stuff. That's something that, like, rings
Yeah.
true to me as, like, a nostalgic thing. And when I was listening to, I believe it was the first song off the record, and also you guys did a music video for it, I was like, this feels like it definitely has that rock flavor to it, which I feel like is pronounced throughout it. I got maybe about halfway through the record, and then obviously, like, we were doing the interview, but I felt like, to me, it was like a modern interpretation of what, like, classic rock is. Like, it has that sort of riff style to it. The
Yeah.
vocals kind of feel like, they're not like that. When I saw the music video, I was like, how is this, like, what is this band going to sound like? Because it starts off with, like, you guys, like, talking and all that stuff, and
Hmm.
I was like, I'm like, how is this, like, how are they gonna sound? I'm like, am I gonna judge my looks? I was like, maybe it might be like this, like, pop rock sort of thing, and I was like, okay. I was like, I could be misled by how they look. And then I listened to the song. I was like, wow, this is really, like, it has this, like, punch to it. It definitely has, like, a full
Yeah.
sound. I don't know who you guys went with in terms of the recording, but it has that, like, full, like, rock, like, arena rock sort of feel to it. And it
Yeah.
was something
Yeah.
I don't typically listen to on a daily basis, but it was something that, like, struck me as, like, wow, I have to listen to the rest of this when I get the free time and be like, really kind of, like, figure it out, because it does have that rock feel to it, but it also has that, like, nostalgia feel that I'm like, I could really get into this, like, later on. Obviously, we're halfway through, so I'm hoping the latter half is just as good as the first half, obviously.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I'm glad that you dug it. Real quick, since you mentioned you weren't sure who we went through, I feel like I should mention it was Matt Dalton at Rock Hill Sound, and he did an excellent job on the record. So shout out to Matt for doing such a great job and being so patient with us throughout the process, because it was the first full-length album that any of us had ever recorded. So it was like, obviously we had been in the studio before and had that experience, but we had never done anything of that extent, and so it was sort of definitely like a learning process in itself. And he was really patient with us and really helpful throughout in terms of bringing his own production ideas and his own ideas of just ways to improve the songs. And to kind of go on top of what you're saying about it sounding like a modern interpretation of like classic rock songs and that arena rock sound, I think that's a good description. And I
Thank you.
think it's like, we all grew up on a lot of that kind of stuff, and we
Yeah.
all really, I mean, we love bands like Led Zeppelin and Queen, and that this big, big sounding, huge sounding rock bands. And but at the same time, it's like we are people who grew up in the 21st century, and definitely are influenced by artists of the 21st century. And so I think it was like wanting to carry on that rock torch, but wanting to create music that sounded like it was created in the modern day, and music that could appeal to people our age, and sort of find a way to carry on the spirit of rock music, but in a modern sense.
Oh, absolutely. I feel like there's this sort of like legacy aspect to what you guys are doing in a sense. Like, it does. I feel like I could show this to my parents and they would be like, this is really cool. Like, this isn't, because typically I have like heavier bands that just scream all the time and they're like, they're not into it. And I get it. I respect that. But I could show this to somebody like, an uncle or like an aunt or uncle, and they would be like, they're like, wow, this could feel like it was in that era, but also, again, keeping it more modern in that sort of. I feel like it's a modern interpretation of classic rock. So I do. Yeah. You take that as well. I think it's a good interpretation. I mean, I feel like I've been doing it long enough to at least have a good ear for certain things, but. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's really good stuff. I'm excited to listen to the rest of it. If it's half as good as the first half, I feel like you guys got a good thing going. But
very cool.
The next question, Gabriel, a more current, more modern question. Who have you guys been jamming recently? What's on your Spotify? What have you guys been listening to lately?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of different music recently, because we're sort of in that the post-album phase of like, where do we go next? What's next for the band? And I had sort of alluded to earlier that we are currently kind of trying to streamline our sound a little bit more, so that there is kind of more of a unified sound to the music. And so I've kind of been like just like entertaining all of the possibilities personally, in terms of like, well, what where do we want to go, and like what would it sound like if we went this route or this route, or whatever. So I mean, anything from like anything from sort of the old kind of classics of like bands like U2. I've been listening to a lot of U2.
Nice, okay.
Been listening to a lot of Def Leppard.
Ooh, okay.
I didn't realize how really incredible the Hysteria album is until I listened to it all the way through for the first time recently. And I understand not everybody wants a perfect, pristine, super polished sound to their album.
Sure. Yeah.
And I certainly wouldn't want every album that I'm a part of to sound like it's gone through this this kind of pristinization process or whatever. But if you're gonna, their intent with that album was to like create an album that is completely, every song on it sounds like it could be a hit single. Yeah. And it's like, if that's gonna be your concept one time for an album, I can appreciate that. It's like, I don't necessarily think it's something you should do for every album, but they did that. That was their goal for this album in particular, and it was like, aside from a song here or there, in my opinion, it was like a total success. And that's just like to create that much like radio quality, chart topping quality music is like so impressive, and I just am like blown away by it. At the same time, it's like I also love albums like The Wall, where it's like they weren't going for that so much. They were going for telling a story through 80 minutes. So it's not like it's not like I only, love music that has that radio quality to it, but it's like if that's what you're going to go for, I think they succeeded there. Sorry, that was kind of a
That's all
kind of went
good.
off on a
That's
tangent there.
I'm all about that stuff. So you are
Yeah.
not totally cool.
But yeah, so I've been listening to older stuff, and I've been listening to newer bands and newer artists too. I've just been trying to really get a large variety in my repertoire, and try to just entertain all the different possibilities, I guess. So.
There we go. Well, if you have any good suggestions for Gabriel to check out, you should leave them below, and maybe he'll give him a good listen. But
Yeah.
the next question, Gabriel, fun one. If you guys could pick a song to cover, what would it be?
Let's see. We've for a little more than a little while now, we've kind of our go-to cover when we do a live set. Obviously, we play the vast majority of the music we play are originals, but it doesn't hurt to every once in a while whip
Throw
out a
one in.
cover,
Yeah,
especially
sure.
for a crowd that may not be as familiar with your music. It can be good to sort of just to keep them engaged, throw out a song they know. And so our go-to has been Africa by Toto.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, sort of a kind of more like hard rock version. And that's been fun, but there's also been talk of doing something new. I know that we've kind of talked about perhaps doing Mr. Brightside by the
Ooh, the
Killers.
Killers, yeah.
It's a classic. And I go to school at Michigan, University of Michigan, and that's always a crowd pleaser there. Any party you go to, that song comes on, people start singing along to it. It's like a anthem for Michigan. So, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that one could be fun.
There we go. Well, again, if you have any suggestions for Gabriel and the band, let them know below.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would appreciate it. Maybe they'll wind up doing it in their next set. So, but the next question, Gabriel, another fun one. Favorite food to eat? What's the go-to?
That's a loaded question.
I know it is.
That's tough. I would have to say, one of my favorites is actually a peanut butter and jelly waffle, like a peanut butter and jelly Belgian waffle.
Ooh, okay.
With the nice thick. I don't know if that's like breading or whatever. Batter. Waffle batter. Yeah. That's anytime I want something that is sure to deliver. That is a good one right there.
Are we talking about so we have the waffles? Are you talking about that the peanut butter jelly is in the waffle, or are you putting peanut butter and jelly in between the waffles?
In between. So it's like a peanut butter and
sandwich.
jelly sandwich, but it's instead of normal bread, you're using a waffle.
I like that.
And it's delicious. Yeah, it is very good.
There we go. I'll take your word for it. I'll have to.
No, don't take my word for it. Have it.
Have it? Okay.
Then,
I will. I will send you a
see.
video of me eating a Belgian waffle with peanut butter and jelly on it.
There you go.
Next question, Gabriel. Another fun one. Keeping it more music related. If you could pick somebody to collaborate with, whether it be a guest vocalist or a guest spot on your next record, or a producer you'd like to work with in the future, who would it be?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I think if we were to go a direction, I don't know, what exactly the holds in terms of kind of the that we're going quite yet. We're still we're in the process of kind of figuring out where exactly we want to go in terms of what's next for us. So whether this be in the near future or somewhere further down the line, if we were to go in a more kind of pop rock direction and embrace the sort of the pop aspects of what we do a little bit more. John Feldman was a fun producer to work with, because you know, a lot of the work that he's done has had that very you know, like for a lot of, you know, kind of like that pop punk sound, that accessible kind of sound. I think that we could do some interesting stuff there. I guess in a similar token would be like Frank Cavallo, I believe is his name. The producer for he did the Black Parade and
Yes.
American Idiot, and so that could be cool. But you know, it would have to vibe with what we were already doing. So you know, but if we were to go that direction, that could be cool.
There we go. Well, John, if you watch this, because I know you watch John Feldman, I feel like you do. You know, if you watch, go hit up Lochaven. You should see if you can do something. But the next question, Gabriel, another fun one. If you could pick another musical instrument to master, what would it be?
Probably guitar. I can play guitar, you know, all right. Nothing special, but that would open up a whole range of songwriting, you know, possibilities if I was a more proficient guitar player. I guess the other one would be the keys. If I could play the keyboard really well, that would also just anything that would help me further my ability to write. That would be great.
There we go. Well, I feel like your riffs are pretty good. Like when I saw it in the music video, I was like, he's got some riffs. I play guitar, so I was like, he's got it. I know he's got it. You know, obviously the guitar is here, but like I was like, you're not as bad as you make yourself out to be. I'll give you the cosign.
Well, I mean, if that's Jake though, who's playing guitar, so I mean, he's able to write and play some excellent stuff. But I myself, you know, not quite at the same level of playing ability. So, you know, he's able to write a bunch of great riffs. But I would like if I could come up with some stuff too. Not even, you know, not even for like any selfish purposes, but just because it would, you know, just result in better, or not even better, but just more possibilities for the band to mine from, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So hopefully the next time we talk, you'll be the most expert guitar player I've had on here.
Probably not, but
well, we could hope for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Next question, Gabriel. I don't know if this is in your lane, but I always love asking it because I'm a nerd. If you could be a video game character, who would you be?
Oh man, that would be a great question for PJ to answer, seeing as how he's sort of the video game extraordinaire of our band.
Okay.
So, but personally, I must admit I'm not quite the video game expert that he is, or I assume you are, based upon
Yes,
you're asking the question.
Yes.
I'd imagine you're pretty into it. But I guess I would have to say Bowser from the Mario series, just because he's a freaking badass, you know. So yeah, I guess that's who I'd have to go with.
There we go. Well, PJ, we'll try to get a video from you. Just PJ, record yourself. I'm sure I will make some sort of edit, and he will give his answer, because I feel like I need to know what PJ's answer is now, because I'm so invested in the question.
Oh no.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Cutting back.
Here we go. We got disconnected for a minute, but I will say it would probably be Link.
Ooh,
So
okay.
from the
So
Zelda series,
we
yeah.
swapped. So we're doing this. We're doing Link now. Okay.
No, for
PJ.
PJ.
Okay.
PJ, it would probably be Link. That would be my guess.
Well, we're gonna get to confirm on that, and then obviously post Brandon will be making some sort of adjustment on that. But the next question, Gabriel, another fun one. If oh boy, okay, here we go. We're waiting. We're gonna wait. Are we good? Can you hear me? Are we?
I think we should be good. Yeah,
Okay.
should be.
Next question. We're gonna keep it steady. Hopefully. Next question is: if you could compile a dream tour, who'd be on the lineup? Obviously, your band's is on it, but
Oh man, are we? Is this like from current day 2020, or is this just any band ever in their prime?
well, okay. Listen. So I know how much you guys draw from like that classic rock and nostalgia vibe. So I feel like you should do one tour where you have classic rock bands that you would want to be with, and one that's more modern that you feel like would fit your style
Yeah.
from
Okay.
like the generation.
So I guess the 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 classic lineup would probably be like, um, if we could like open up for Zeppelin in like the early 70s when they
Oof.
were at the peak
Yeah.
of their powers. I mean, what better what better lineup could you ask for? You know, I mean that would be legendary. Or what better position as an opener could you
Yeah.
ask for than opening for Led Zeppelin? So that would be awesome. And then if we were to do more modern day in 2020, I would say in terms of like bands that would fit with us well is I think the Struts are really
Yep.
good, and they, you know, they've got some great music. Um, and aside from them, uh, Highly Suspect would be another
Ooh.
great
Okay.
band.
Yeah. Nice.
Um, fun. I think, you know, three of us, I think we would, you know, put on a hell of a show and give people, and you get a nice kind of a nice variation, but nothing off-putting, you know, amongst the three of us. So I think that would be a pretty good combo with Lochaven, the Struts, and Highly Suspect. I think that's a tour that would do pretty well. So once we got more of a following in the way that those guys do. So
There we go. Well, you can purchase tickets below for the 2022 tour. Get your tickets now. It's gonna sell out fast. But no,
yeah, of course.
that's I think that's such a great lineup, and I would say in terms of your guys' sound, I feel like all three of those bands would be a very killer tour. So the Struts are highly
Yeah,
suspect. It's now in your court, guys. You know it's on the internet.
there we go.
Let's make it
Hey,
happen.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm down if you guys are down to do it too. So up to you.
there we go. Next question, Gabriel. Another fun one. Favorite TV show, favorite movie?
Oof, good one, good one. Uh, Favorite TV show? I mean, all time, probably Breaking Bad. I mean, that's like probably the most well done TV show I've
Yeah.
ever seen. Also, really like The Office in terms of its like rewatchability. Like, I don't think there's a show that I the amount of times I've seen The Office, it's like if it were any other show, I'd be so tired of it by now, and I'm like, I can still watch more. Um, and then in terms of shows that are on right now, probably got to be Rick and Morty.
Ooh, yeah.
Uh, Love me some Rick and Morty. And then movies. I'm not saying that these are the best movies ever, because like objectively they're not really, but in terms of the emotional value that they hold for me, I would say Wayne's World and
Ooh.
School of Rock are like my personal two favorite movies. But in terms of like best, like objectively best movies, like The City of God is probably, if not the, it's definitely one of the best movies I've ever seen. Um, So that's, I don't know if you're familiar with it at all or
Yeah.
anything, but
No, that's a
uh,
great film. I like
yeah, yeah,
I
that's
also resonated with your personal answers, School of Rock and
yeah.
Wayne's World. So I feel like we did get the best of both worlds in those answers because, like I also enjoy like the very humorous aspects of it, but yeah, no, I'm about those three movies you mentioned for sure.
Cool, cool.
Next question, Gabriel. If you're trapped on a desert island for the next month and there was one record you could bring with you, what would it be?
Honest, with the amount that I've been into hysteria recently, I mean, that might be it. Just because that doesn't mean that that's like, my all-time favorite or anything, but just like the timing is right for that, since I just got it really deep into it recently. So I'm sure I'd be sick as hell of it after a month of listening to it nonstop.
Yeah.
But that's like that's where I'm at with that record right now on March 2nd, 2020 or whatever. The timing would be right for that album, so I'll go with Hysteria.
There we
Def
go.
Leppard.
And then the last thing, Gabriel, tell them about Lochaven, where they can find you on social media and anything coming up in the next couple months.
Yeah, for sure. We are at Lochaven Official on Facebook and Instagram, and we are Lochaven on Twitter. So go ahead and give us a like and a follow and all that good stuff there. Make sure to stream our debut album, Changes Upon Us, on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, SoundCloud. You can buy it on iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, whatever. And then in terms of shows that we've got coming up, we're actually going to be on a bill opening up for Saving Abel
Ooh.
on March 19th in Owasso, I believe, Owasso, Michigan. And then we'll be doing a show April 4th, I believe, at Chet's Corner Bar in Bay City, Michigan. And we are looking to get on as many festival bills and that sort of thing as we can come the summertime. So anybody who's in really anywhere in Michigan, hopefully will be somewhere, generally close to you over the summertime as we look to get on those festival bills. And then eventually, hopefully, if you're not in Michigan or Ohio or anywhere near us or anything, we do hope eventually we'll be able to be touring nationally so that you don't have to worry about missing out on us. But all in good time, right? So
Yeah.
we'll get there eventually.
There we go.
Maybe once we graduate college by the end of the year, then it'll be a little easier, a little more feasible and realistic. So, but until then, just rocking in the Metro Detroit and Mid Michigan area for the most part. So.
There we go. Well, like I mentioned earlier, gotta give a shout outs to James. He's sent me so many bands, but this one was one of the more interesting ones for me because I always love having somebody that musically is a little bit different than I am, and I could learn to experience, bands and other styles of music that, I'm trying to be as varied as possible in 2020, trying to have a bunch of different genres on. So, this is a great addition to have. But you should go check out Lochaven. All the links are in the description where you can find out about their band, their music, go pick up their debut record, and also, go follow them on social media. If you like it enough, go purchase it. I'm sure it means a lot, so go do that. And if you enjoyed this interview, share it, like, and subscribe. Remember, go tweet at John Feldman. You want it to happen. Also, go tweet at the Struts and Highly Suspect so we can get that tour happening in 2022. Let's make it work. We're going to do it. We got 2 years. We can make it happen. 2 years is enough time. I feel like it could work. So go check out their stuff. And thank you guys for watching. And thanks to Gabriel from Lochaven for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.